is the difference between proof of work, POW, and proof of stake, POS? Let me use my Boston Terrier, Lucy, to explain the difference between the two consensus mechanisms to verify transactions on a coin's blockchain. Pretty early on, Lucy found her life's purpose of chasing down a red frisbee and ever since has been passionately dedicated to the task. Her red frisbee now has thousands of her teeth marks embedded in it. You could say her teeth marks are an immutable record illustrating the entire frisbee throwing history for anyone who dares to inspect it close enough. Sounds a bit like a blockchain ledger, doesn't it? The proof of work, POW, dog. Lucy provides a prime example of a proof of work dog, running around with her red blockchain. In her ecosystem, family members and friends provide a lot of viable competition who are willing to take the frisbee from her. But competitors for her frisbee must attempt guessing formulas to take the frisbee. She won't just hand over the beloved blockchain. She requires an ever-evolving combination of guessing which might involve scratching behind the ears, belly rubs, comforting words and enthusiastic hand gestures. The more people who simultaneously vie for the frisbee, the greater the complexity of her requirements. So much so that she is willing to hang on to the frisbee in a gravity-defying act to secure her blockchain. At some point, someone guesses correctly and pampers her enough to satisfy her canine mind. As a reward for this successful dog mind-minding process, she lays down the frisbee at someone's feet, usually mine. I have the benefit of some specialized equipment. That would be my throwing arm, which can make the frisbee fade around a big bush, which adds to the thrill of Lucy's chase. My son is quick to point out that it's unfair I get the frisbee so often. However, I benefit in part because of the specialization I have after investing time and capital to improve my throwing arm. Time and capital are always motivated by the satisfying returns of the frisbee and, as a result, I am committed to the game I chose. At the same time, Lucy's current preference for my throws does not stop my son from investing time and energy into his throwing arm. The competition is never-ending. All of this leads to one very satisfied Boston Terrier and one very secure frisbee. Is she ever going to fork over tennis balls? Highly unlikely. The most important question of all, will anyone ever sneak past Lucy a malicious block, say a yellow frisbee? Only if someone could control 51% of everyone willing and able to throw a frisbee. Until then, there is but only one beloved red frisbee and it's secure with the proof of work dog. What would the proof of stake, POS, dog world look like? In a proof of stake world, everyone that wanted to play would simply need to put up a bonus security, or 32 ETH coins. An algorithm randomly determines the winner in this game. There's no competition. The dog no longer gets to choose the highly specialized throwing arm because a standard server-grade device is sufficient. And hence, a specialized throwing arm provides no advantage. It's out of business. It's a world that aims for minimum standards rather than maximum standards. In dog speak, this means the randomly selected winner might elect to throw the frisbee with their toes because the toes are good enough. There are numerous benefits though in the proof of stake world. First, the game of frisbee consumes a lot less energy as there is no specific level of skill, no guessing, and no specialization required, just the initial capital for security. So, you throw the same frisbee, a lot quicker, with a lot lower fees. Will this dog fork into other games? There doesn't seem like much of a barrier holding her back. Again, the most important question of all. Will you ever sneak a malicious block past her? In this world, controlling 33% of all frisbees on the network would mean yes, someone could sneak a yellow frisbee past her. Enough with dog frisbees, what would it take to introduce a malicious block? Proof of stake networks is indisputably less reliable and less secure than proof of work. It's a mathematical fact. The question is basically, should we be concerned? After all, a malicious block could compromise your assets in the blockchain. To answer that, let's look at the commitment required to launch a successful attack on the two largest networks, the hardest to attack and compromise. The smaller the network, the higher the probability of a successful attack. Attack Scenario 1. On the proof of work Bitcoin, you would need to control 51% of the mining computing power to launch a successful attack. If If you could fork out an estimated $8.6 billion for the ASIC miners, have the space to rack your hardware and then pay the $20 million per day in electricity costs, you may have a shot at an attack. The effort to buy that kind of mining power will attract tremendous attention in the semiconductor and BTC mining space, and your 51% attack would not be a stealthy operation. One of the biggest safeguards against such an attack is the existing miners with capital and skin in the game. They have a significant economic incentive to protect their investment in the BTC network and will likely continue to add to their mining hardware. The most likely outcome of Attack 1, a balance of computing power is retained and the network integrity survives. Attack Scenario 2. On the proof-of-stake Ethereum 2.0, you would need to control tokens, specifically, 33% of all tokens in circulation. You could either buy tokens outright or, often overlooked, gain control of enough coins and their votes by providing staking services. For a 4 to 7% staking rate, this would be a pretty economical way to get the votes on the coins added to your schedule. The ETH market cap is around $230 billion at the moment, and an attacker would require 33%, or $76 billion of ETH to take control. Sounds too big and impossible? Apple, Alphabet, Microsoft and Amazon each have enough cash to buy that much ETH outright, even before we talk about governments. China is sitting on about $989 billion in US treasuries. Might they be interested in a nice 8% diversification out of a USD position with a considerable portfolio heat problem? In terms of processing power, all you would need would be one old laptop with a solid-state drive. The most likely outcome of a POS attack attempt on Ethereum. A rapid rise in ETH price as accumulation gets underway. Then, a tipping point panic long before the 33% threshold, resulting in some form of mass selling and or a change in voting protocol to sideline the attacker. But also, average voters would likely be sidelined in favor of the guardians of the network. Who will guard the guardians? Are these black swan events or more likely to be day-to-day events? Looking at the two biggest networks, a serious attempt to attack BTC or ETH would be a black swan event. But it's important to note that there have been successful attacks on both sides of POW and POS. Some notable POW examples include Ethereum Classic and Bitcoin Gold. The smaller the chain and the lower the economic incentive for the miners, the higher the probability of a successful attack in the POW world. This is before we even enter the POS world with over 20,000 coins and no miner incentives. By the way, once a year in England there is a peculiar event, the Swan Upping. During this event, all of the Queen of England swans get counted. Know thy swans, black and white. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay safe, stay informed. Brand Fi.